Good evening. Two things define you: your patience when you have nothing, and your attitude when you have everything. Welcome to BMC News Live in English, brought to you by Al Hilal Hospital and Medical Centers. I am Vinod Narayanan, joining you with the daily news updates. Today's headlines. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister chaired the weekly cabinet meeting. Councillors demand fines for tankers dumping sewage. Kuwait suspended issue of visit visas. Dubai to drop fees imposed on airline and travel agencies. NATO held summit in Madrid. News in detail. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister chaired the weekly cabinet meeting. His Royal Highness Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa, the Crown Prince and Prime Minister, today chaired the weekly cabinet meeting at Gudaibiya Palace. The cabinet highlighted His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa's continued support to the kingdom's education sector and commended the winners of the UNESCO King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa Prize for the use of information and communication technologies in the field of education. The cabinet noted the important role of the award in the kingdom's commitment to advance UNESCO's objectives by encouraging the use of ICT to further develop education and its outputs. The cabinet welcomed the kingdom's presidency of the World Customs Organization Council for a third consecutive term for the year 2022-2023, which reflects the global recognition of Bahraini citizens' leadership in global organizations. The cabinet commended Sheikh Ahmed bin Hamad Al Khalifa's efforts in his presidency of the World Customs Organization during his last two terms, which led to his re-election for a third consecutive term. The cabinet congratulated students who completed the academic school year, expressing their gratitude to the parents, teachers and administrators of the Ministry of Education for their contributions to the exceptional achievements and success across all academic levels. The cabinet discussed several memorandums during the meeting. His Majesty the King's support to housing sector hailed. Housing and Urban Planning Minister Amna bint Ahmed Al Rumaihi announced that all measures would be taken to expand the Mazaya program. Chairing the weekly cabinet meeting, His Royal Highness Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa, the Crown Prince and Prime Minister, directed the inclusion of 500 additional beneficiaries of the Mazaya housing program, bringing the total number of beneficiaries to 2,500 recipients. The statement today, Al Rumaihi expressed sincere thanks and gratitude to His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa, hailing the royal care and keen interest accorded to the housing sector with the support and follow-up of His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister. She underlined the ministry's keenness on facilitating housing procedures for citizens via the Mazaya housing scheme and continuing plans and initiatives to achieve this priority. The minister also affirmed that the government would provide all financial and logistic procedures to ensure the provision of units to eligible applicants. Finance Minister outlines future reserve funds positive results. Finance and National Economy Minister Sheikh Salman bin Khalifa Al Khalifa stressed the crucial role of the Future Generations Reserve Fund within the wide-ranging development led by His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa, supported by His Royal Highness Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa, the Crown Prince and Prime Minister. The Future Generations Reserves Fund has been able to achieve more positive results in various investment assets despite the challenges and economic developments, he said. He pointed out the solidarity of all the efficiency of the young national cadres in the administrative and technical staff of the fund, which will enable the achievement of all strategic priorities and strategic plans of the fund. Citing financial results for the fiscal year ending on December 31st, 2021, he said that the fund has been able to record an increase in its assets by 20.4% on an annual basis, reaching a total value of $626.9 million, and also recorded a positive return on investments of 10.4% and an average return over 5 years by 7.4%. British Home Office's announcement exempting Bahraini citizens from visa hailed. The Kingdom of Bahrain has welcomed the announcement by the British Home Office to launch the United Kingdom Electronic Travel Authorization in early 2023 that would fully exempt Bahrain and GCC citizens from visa requirements. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs said that the launch of ETA next year complements the British government's decision to implement the electronic visa exemption system starting from June. The move will contribute to facilitate travel procedures for Bahrain and GCC citizens to the United Kingdom, it said, noting that the new system requires those wishing to travel to Britain to apply for permission to travel once every 2 years, as it is valid for the aforementioned period and for multiple visits. Cigarettes with digital stamps arrived in Bahrain. The National Bureau for Revenue, in cooperation with the Customs Affairs, has announced the arrival of the first shipment of cigarette packs with digital stamps at Bahrain's customs clearance ports. The digital stamp scheme aims to track excise goods from the manufacturing stage up to the point of consumption through digital stamps and intends to limit the smuggling of excise goods into the kingdom, protecting consumers against the circulation of counterfeit or illegal products and ensuring the effectiveness of the government revenue collection. The first implementation phase of the scheme has gone into effect since March 11, 2022, when the digital stamps electronic system was enabled to receive purchase orders from excise payers who are registered with the NBR, which allows them to place such stamps on cigarette packs prior to dispatching them to local markets. The NPR urged importers and manufacturers of cigarette products to comply with the dates of the next implementation phase of the scheme, whereby the import of cigarette products into Bahrain will be prohibited if they arrive without digital stamps as of July 17. The NBR has encouraged all importers and merchants in the local markets to avoid stockpiling large quantities of cigarette products without digital stamps in preparation for the last implementation stage starting October 16, when no cigarette products can be traded for processed without such stamps. The NPR stressed the necessity to comply with the scheme, as NPR will take the necessary legal measures either by imposing administrative fines or referring cases to the public prosecution to initiate legal proceedings. Bahrain's tourists' arrival has grown by 984% in Q1. The number of tourists arriving in Bahrain has grown by 984% in the first quarter of 2022 compared to the same period in 2021. According to statistics published by the Information and E-Government Authority, the kingdom received approximately 1.7 million visitors in the first 3 months of the year compared to 152,000 in 2021. The Bahrain Tourism and Exhibition Authority affirmed that tourism revenues also rose to BD 282 million during the first quarter of this year compared to 30 million Bahrain dinars during the same period last year, an increase of 875%. According to the published statistics, there has been a significant increase in the flow of tourists, with more than 1.483 million tourists entering Bahrain through the King Fahd Causeway in the first quarter of this year, compared to about 84,000 in the same period last year, 2021, a 1,666% increase. The number of tourists arriving through Bahrain International Airport also rose by 147%, with 166,000 tourists arriving in 2022 compared to 67,000 in the same period last year. During the same period, the number of licensed tourist facilities such as hotels, apartments, restaurants and tour companies climbed from 721 to 922, and the number of tourist nights increased from 341,000 to over 2.9 million. BTA CEO Dr. Nasser Qaidi explained that the positive indicators reflect the success of the kingdom's tourism sector in the kingdom by implementing the initiatives of the priorities within the economic recovery plan and the effectiveness of the initiatives and programs carried out by the BTEA. Foreign Minister congratulated Bahrain's ambassador in London on his appointment as Dean of Arab Diplomatic Corps in the United Kingdom. Foreign Minister Dr. Abdul Latif bin Rashid Al Zayani congratulated Bahrain's ambassador in London, Sheikh Fawaz bin Mohammed Al Khalifa, on his appointment as Dean of the Arab Diplomatic Corps in the United Kingdom by the Council of Arab Ambassadors in London. This came during the official farewell ceremony which was held by the Council for the outgoing ambassador of the state of Kuwait to the United Kingdom, Khalid Al-Duwaisal. The appointment reflects the ambassador's experience and efforts to strengthen joint coordination between Arab countries and the United Kingdom. He also wished Sheikh Fawaz further success in serving the interest of Arab countries and the UK, said Dr. Al-Zayani. Bahrain Education Ministry wins His Highness Sheikh Salem Al Ali Al Sabah Informatics Award. Education Minister Dr. Majid bin Ali Al Nuaimi has lauded the unlimited support of His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa and His Royal Highness Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa, the Crown Prince and Prime Minister, to the education sector in the kingdom, enabling the Ministry of Education to attain numerous regional and international achievements. The Minister was speaking while attending His Highness Sheikh Salem Al Ali Al Sabah Informatics Award distribution ceremony held at Bayan Palace under the patronage of the Emir of Kuwait, His Highness Sheikh Nawaf Al Ahmad Al Jaber Al Sabah. The ceremony to honor the winners of the 2020 edition of the award was attended by Kuwaiti Crown Prince His Highness Sheikh Mijal Al Ahmad Al Jaber Al Sabah. During the ceremony, Bahrain's Education Ministry won the award for its educational portal, which is a fruitful outcome of the King Hamad Schools of the Future project and the Digital Empowerment project, both implemented following His Majesty the King's directives. Dr. Al Nuaimi lauded the advanced level of the long-standing fraternal Bahraini-Kuwaiti relations at all levels, thanks to the directives of their leaderships. He asserted that the award recognizes the great role played by the EduNet since its launch in 2015 in providing diverse educational materials, adding that the educational portal has contributed to provide online education to students during the spread of the coronavirus pandemic. Bahrain hosted first meeting of Steering Committee of NATO Forum. The Kingdom of Bahrain hosted today the first meeting of the Steering Committee of the NATO Forum with the participation of senior officials in the Ministries of Foreign Affairs of the United Arab Emirates, the Arab Republic of Egypt, the Kingdom of Morocco, the United States of America, and the State of Israel in order to follow up on the outcomes of the NATO Summit that brought together their Highnesses and Excellencies, Ministers of Foreign Affairs of the 6 countries on March 28th. Bahrain participated in the 11th World Urban Forum. Municipalities Affairs and Agriculture Minister Wael bin Nasser Al Mubarak has participated in the 11th session of the United Urban Forum held in Katowice, Poland, under the patronage of the United Nations Human Settlements Program on June 26th to 30th. The minister asserted that the kingdom's participation in World Urban Forum aims to highlight the efforts of the government led by His Royal Highness Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa, the Crown Prince and Prime Minister, to implement development goals, in addition to its priorities regarding sustainable urban development and cooperation with the UN Habitat. Minister Al Mubarak lauded the ongoing fruitful cooperation between Bahrain and the UN Habitat, leading to important results in the fields of cities development and urban development. He stressed that the kingdom attaches great importance to sustainable development, being among the most important pillars of comprehensive development, confirming Bahrain's commitment to the urban development agenda as the best means to achieve sustainable development goals and the Bahrain Economic Vision 2030. He indicated that the World Urban Forum is the premier global conference on sustainable urbanization. It is held every 2 years to examine processing issues facing the world today, such as rapid urbanization and its impact on communities, cities, economies, climate change, and policies, themed Transforming Our Cities for a Better Urban Future. The World Urban Forum 11 is attended by more than 10,000 participants, including policymakers, mayors, academics, business people, community leaders, and urban planners. Southern Governor inaugurated Awareness Security Exhibition. Southern Governor His Highness Sheikh Khalifa bin Ali bin Khalifa Al Khalifa inaugurated today the Awareness Security Exhibition, which was held by the Southern Governorate in conjunction with the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. The inauguration was attended by Deputy Southern Governor Brigadier Isa Thamer Al Dosari, as well as representatives from various Interior Ministry directorates and a number of officials from the Southern Governorate. His Highness the Southern Governor praised the directives of Interior Minister General Sheikh Rashid bin Abdullah Al Khalifa, which aim to promote stability, security, and community partnership through the implementation of various programs. He also commended the efforts of the security directorates, the relevant parties, and the civil society institutions in braving challenges, fighting drug abuse, and protecting the youngsters to ensure a safe society. He honored the governorate's support to all awareness initiatives aimed at protecting citizens from drug abuse. Then His Highness the Southern Governor cut the ribbon declaring the launch of the exhibition, which showcased means of preventing drug abuse and sensitizing people to the dangers it poses. NAO holds online training on customs revenue audit. The training session on auditing customs revenues, organized virtually by the National Audit Office in the Kingdom in cooperation with the Arab Organization of Supreme Audit Institutions, kicked off today with the participation of 30 trainees from 14 Arab countries. The three-day webinar aims to familiarize the participants with audit procedures related to various customs revenues, the nature of their complexity and their link to international agreements and their conformity to regulations by international organizations. Now we will be back after a short break.
All your favorite products under one roof in Bahrain at 27-year-old Megamart and Macromart. Bakery, fresh meat and fish, fruits and vegetables, sweets and snacks, ready-to-eat foods, dairy products, grocery or consumer goods. Megamart and Macromart, full of goodness.
Welcome back. Land sought to restore, seized illegal goods. Specific locations should be earmarked to store items seized from illegal traders and an open auction staged for items of value to be sold on, says Bahrain's largest municipal council. The proposal to allocate land for seized items of various nature was tabled yesterday by Northern Municipal Council's Technical Committee Chairman Abdullah Al-Kubaisi. Bahrain court ordered major contracting company to pay BD 50,000 to subcontractor. The 6th High Civil Court ruled to obligate a renowned contracting company to pay BD 50,000, the value of a contract with another company under which the latter supplied the necessary labor for a major project. As per the court documents, the contracting company had refused to pay the outstanding amount. Lawyer Esam Al-Tayyib, agent of the plaintiff company, said that the contracting company signed an agreement with the defendant under which the plaintiff supplied labor to complete a major project. However, the defendant refused to pay amounts that exceeded BD 50,000. The attorney demanded payment of the outstanding amount in addition to 7% interest. While hearing the case, the court ordered the assignment of an expert whose report concluded that the defendant was late in paying monthly bills despite the plaintiff's full commitment to supplying manpower, with cost of unpaid dues estimated over BD 50,000. At the conclusion of the expert report, the court declared the defendant to be indebted. Therewith, it ruled in favor of the plaintiff receiving BD 50,000. Today's COVID updates. COVID updates brought to you by Al Hilal Hospital and Medical Centers. Well-known art institute in the island, IMAC Cochin Kalabhavan organizes summer classes for children from 3rd July to 31st August, Sunday to Thursday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Report. IMAC Cochin Kalabhavan summer classes for children this year will make the summers brighter and fruitful for kids with fun-filled interactive classes, specialized coaching provided by professional trainers in cinematic dance with Western, Bollywood and contemporary classical dance and folk, instrumental music and vocal music, drawing and painting. The summer classes starts from 3rd July to 31st August 2022, Sunday to Thursday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Admissions fees will be free for the first 50 registrations. Every child gets a chance to perform at the grand finale that will be telecasted on popular online channel BMC Global Live. Quiz competitions, drawing competitions, sport choreography, antakshari, yoga workshops and interactive sessions with celebrities from India are also included in the sessions. Transportation will be available in and around Manama area. Register today by visiting the website www.bahrainmediacity.com and by submitting your details on the Google form or contact on 38096845 or 38094806 or 17695607. Kuwait suspended issue of visit visas. Kuwait has stopped issuing visit visas, including family and tourist visas, starting Monday, June 27, 2022, and until further notice, the Interior Ministry announced. The decision made upon instructions of First Deputy Prime Minister and Interior Minister Sheikh Ahmed Nawaf Al-Ahmed Al-Sabah comes to allow the Residency Affairs Department to prepare a new mechanism with regulations to organize and improve the visa issuing process, the ministry explained in a statement. Saudi Arabia called on Muslims to sight crescent moon. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has urged Muslims in the state to sight the moon on Wednesday, June 29th. This came in a statement from the Supreme Court of the Kingdom. The Supreme Court has called on those who sight the moon with the naked eye or through binoculars to inform the nearest court and to record their testimony. Spotting the crescent moon determines the day of Hajj and Eid al-Adha, which is celebrated on the 10th of Dhul Hajj, the last month of the Islamic calendar. Dubai to drop fees imposed on airline and travel agencies. The Dubai Crown Prince has issued a decision cancelling fees imposed on airline and travel agencies. The fee cancellation is applicable to agencies operating in Dubai, according to the decision by Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. Dubai announced a new health insurance scheme for faster claim approvals. Dubai's health insurance regulator has launched a first-of-its-kind value-based healthcare model called EJDA. The model is expected to enhance preventive care by focusing on value rather than volume. The Dubai Health Authority's Health Insurance Corporation said the healthcare model will pay for performance and outcomes that matter to patients. It will also provide healthcare service providers with evidence-based guidelines, which will be a framework for all physicians to follow with regard to treatment protocols for all ailments. DHS Director General said insurance providers will have a strong foundation to refer to evidence-based data, and all stakeholders will work together to enhance healthcare and reduce unnecessary medical expenditure. Toxic gas leak left 13 dead and hundreds injured in Jordan. 13 people have died and 251 have been injured in a toxic gas leak from a storage tank at Jordan's Aqaba port, as authorities called on residents to shut windows and stay indoors. The leak on Monday came after a cable lifting a tank filled with 25 tons of chlorine snapped, sending the container crashing down. A video posted on state television's Twitter page showed the tank slamming into the deck of a ship, releasing clouds of yellow gas that sent dock workers racing away. A cable carrying a container containing a toxic substance broke, resulting in the fall and escape of the poisonous substance. The vessel has been waiting to load almost 20 containers of liquefied gas containing a very high percentage of chlorine. The gas was heavy and it is not easy for its gas clouds to move, as it concentrates in one area and is affected by wind movement. Aqaba's southern beach was reportedly evacuated after the incident. The injured were transported to 2 state hospitals, 1 private facility and a field hospital. Aqaba's health director said hospitals were full and the injured were in medium to critical condition. Health Ministry officials said they expected only a handful of people to remain in hospital by Tuesday. US grapples with whether to modify COVID vaccine to fall. US health authorities are facing a critical decision whether to offer new COVID-19 booster shots this fall that are modified to better match recent changes of the shape-shifting coronavirus. Moderna and Pfizer have tested updated shots against the super contagious Omicron variant, and advisors to the Food and Drug Administration will debate Tuesday if it is time to make a switch, setting the stage for similar moves by other countries. This is science at its toughest, FDA vaccine chief Dr. Peter Marks told the Associated Press, adding that a final decision is expected within days of the advisory panel's recommendation. Current COVID-19 vaccines saved millions of lives around the world in just their first year of use, and the Moderna and Pfizer shots still offer strong protection against the worst outcomes, severe illness and death, especially after a booster dose, Associated Press reported. But those vaccines target the original coronavirus strain, and between waning immunity and a relentless barrage of variants, protection against infections has dropped markedly. The challenge is deciding if tweaked boosters offer a good chance of blunting another surge when there is no way to predict which mutant will be the main threat. In an analysis prepared for Tuesday's meeting, FDA officials acknowledged targeting last winter's version of Omicron is somewhat outdated, since it already has been replaced by its even more contagious relatives. France asked citizens to wear masks again in public transport. French people should start wearing masks again in crowded areas, especially in public transport, as France has to deal with a new wave of COVID-19 infections fueled by new variants of the disease. Health Minister said on Monday, France reported new 17,601 coronavirus infections over the past 24 hours, the highest figure for a Monday since April 18. New infections have been steadily rising since the end of May in France. NATO holds summit in Madrid. 7 decades after it was founded, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization is meeting in Madrid with an urgent need to reassert its original mission. Leaders of the world's most powerful military alliance are aiming to boost forces on NATO's eastern flank and set priorities for the coming decade, with a new emphasis on checking China's growing international ambitions. But the gathering will also showcase the difficulties in keeping 30 nations from tiny Iceland and Luxembourg to huge Turkey and the United States, aligned in an organization that must make decisions by consensus. Associated Press reported, NATO was formed after World War II to counter the threat from the Soviet Union and foster cooperation in a shattered Europe. In the years after the collapse of the USSR, the alliance recast Russia not as an adversary but as a strategic partner. The Madrid summit will be dominated by how to bolster defenses along the bloc's eastern borders. Until late last year, only around 5,000 NATO troops were deployed in the Baltic states and Poland on a rotational basis. With that, we come to the end of today's news. Stay tuned for daily news updates in BMC News Live English at 7:30 p.m. every day. I am Vinod Narayanan signing off from BMC News Live. Good night.